I don't know really what this is all for, but I'm gonna try to record this as pretty much as being a conversation with myself. Um, Although I pretend to share it online, and if you're hearing this, it's because I shared it online. So basically, 3 seconds to introduce myself. I live in Europe. I'm on my 40s. I'm gay. I've been gay my entire life, and I'm going to try to think about and talk about a bit of my reflections on the subject of being gay and loneliness. And keep in mind that these are all generalizations. I mean, this doesn't apply to everyone, obviously, and it's also um, you have to take into account that everybody has limitations, lots of limitations on their perception of reality. So this is basically me, my thoughts with my limitations. So there's a thing that it's a semantic thing, a text thing that I play with in my life regarding the fact that I'm gay, which is the idea that I was never afraid of being gay. I was never really afraid of the consequences of being gay because I live in a part of the world that, in a way, you can live your life, not very openly, but you can live pretty much a regular life if you stay within some, how can I say, um, rationality, uh, despite the fact that you're gay. So to me, I was never afraid of being gay, but I was never prepared for the loneliness that I would feel and that I feel, and to which I blame, in a way, the fact that I'm gay as the cause of a great part of this loneliness. So it's not the fear of being gay, it's the fear of loneliness, especially when you are um, over a certain age and you don't feel that you correspond to the kind of searched um, stereotypes, and I do say stereotypes, um, especially online. So I've always wanted to have a relationship, and that's why I, in a sense, feel incomplete, and I have this increasing fear of. I wouldn't say really fear, but it's really becoming harder for me to deal with loneliness in certain circumstances, not always, but in a few circumstances. So I've always wanted to be in a relationship, and I've probably read the wrong books when I was young because I read some books. I'm not going to go into details that described real relationships between. Sometimes they were autobiographical between the authors and their wives. I didn't read uh, gay literature at that time or even today. Um, not for any particular reason, but these relationships on these books were so idealized that yes, I think I have a very idealized idea of what a relationship is, um, and probably it's too high. Although I don't think that this is the cause of me not having found or being able be of me not be able to find a relationship. Um, I think that, and I think most of you will agree, one of the great uh, one of the most important factors today in our society, and I'm talking specifically of dating online and Grinder and all those other apps, a major factor is image. It's beauty, overall physical attractiveness. I think it's key for dating, and me included. I'm guilty of this idea. Um, I've always felt like I didn't want to grow old with someone. I wanted to simply grow, and this might seem very um, how can I say, strong. But the idea is that I wanted to 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 go to my first trip to India, let's say, with my backpack. I wanted to share that experience that I feel it's much stronger when you do it probably when you're young. And since I'm on my 40s, I'm starting to feel like this discovery, this level of passion that you probably have um, in a this very particular passion and discovery period of your life is something that I'm not going to share with anyone because it's over. I'm not saying that every age has its magic and his special characteristics. I agree with the fact that it does. As we age, we become, if all things go well, uh, we have um, the possibility of becoming wiser, and that is also beautiful. But as I said before, I am a victim, and so I include myself in this idea that beauty is very important in a sense. And I'm growing into this age that people of my age or older most of the times don't interest me physically. So this puts me in a position that I think it's okay. I mean, it's not a huge problem, but I'm required to meet someone um, and bond in such a way that will make me go straight into a relationship that can be based solely on let's say more intellectual and way of life, basis versus a more uh, body image or physical basis. And I believe that the most natural course of starting a relationship is the other way around. I mean, ideally you have both from the very beginning. You feel sexually attracted to a person and you feel intellectually attracted to a person. But it's really hard to start a relationship when you don't feel sexually attracted to a person. And unfortunately for me, I don't find people of my age or older very attractive uh, physically. So it's a problem right there. And I think that this problem is shared by a lot of people. I was talking about this to a friend of mine this last week, and he told me that his partner, and so it's a gay couple. He is on his early 30s, and his partner is in his 40s. And he told me, my partner, he doesn't go online and looks at someone at his age or older and says that he's cute or sweet. It doesn't happen. And I have the same problem. At the same time, with quite a few exceptions, which is great, but generally, if I go and try to find people in their 30s, 20s, I already forgot. I mean, I don't want to. I really don't want to. I think that it's important to have a certain level of common references, and it's just not possible to have, in my opinion, to have that level of common interests with someone with such a age gap in the middle. So even if I go trying to find people in their 30s, it's also hard. Um, it's not very easy to find someone, excuse me, that I'm attracted to and who's attracted to me, and there's this common basis of intellectual interest, and it's just hard. So, in a sense, when I'm a victim of the system, but I'm aware of it, and I'm trying to go uh, beyond it. But it's baseline in these apps, these internet-based dating schemes. Beauty is everything. I mean, I honestly believe that I know couples that have started a relationship purely based on beauty and the physical aspects of the partner. And this is a very complicated game. I mean, it's quite common when you go on the street to see even heterosexual couples, and you look at them from the standpoint of physical attributes, and they're kind of like in the same level. You know, if you see a really handsome guy, he's probably going to have a very beautiful woman at his side. I mean, let's just face it. That's the way things are. There's this kind of comparison, this kind of status that people um, more consciously or less consciously pursue. And in the case of gay relationships, same-sex relationship, it's even harder, I think, because you're actually comparing a man to a man, or let's say if you're a lesbian, you're comparing woman to woman. So, you know, same sex, same body type, and it, it's really a comparison that it's very, very strong. And people are always trying to find something at their level, let's put it this way, at their league, or go beyond that league. So it can also become, and that's what I think about dating today. It's not even dating, it's the pursuit of something new. It's the dopamine effect every single time. We have to find something new and slightly better, almost as if we're managing our careers. We're going from job to job, if that's how you manage your career anyway. Again, I'm generalizing. Um, Looking for the next best thing. And all of this can lead to insecurity. In my case, it leads to insecurity. So, um, comparison, the fact that I'm aging, the fact that I particularly don't like uh, bodies after a certain age, is just bringing a lot of insecurity into my life that I can deal with uh, better than loneliness itself. So, this cult of the body, I think it started at, well, let's say thousands of years of human civilization, but it has really been um, it really exploded in the 20th century. And why? Because of media. I mean, in the 20th century, uh, we could paint a person 1,000 times a day with photography. With we could photograph people fast and produce image and reproduce image and make it available like ever before in the history of mankind. And today, it's even worse. I mean, with social media, um, I'm going to talk especially about Instagram. Um, you are your own photographer, and you you manage your image. So it's very interesting, and I think that I wanted to talk about, I wanted to record this conversation with myself, uh, because I when I think about these subjects, I go back to a book that I've read probably 15 years ago, and recently I thought about these subjects and I went back to the book, and that's the main cause that it made me want to talk about all of these subjects. This book is it's I have a version in my own native language, so I'm going to try to translate some parts. So, according to Wikipedia, Jean Baudrillard was born in 1929 and died in 2007. He was a French sociologist, philosopher, and cultural theorist. Um, and The book I'm talking about, I think in English it's called The Consumer Society, Myths, Myths and Structures, and it was published, at least in English, in the 1970. So I'm going to try to read a few of these passages from the book. This particular chapter or subchapter is called the most. I'm sorry, the most beautiful. I know I don't. We don't say that in English. Object of consumerism, the body. So he says that in this huge world of consumerism, the most beautiful, precious, and object of all, um, more charged with connotations than the automobile. And it's very funny that he talks about the automobile because the automobile was the ultimate consumption good of the 20th century. It, in a certain way, represents completely, it is the representation of the 20th century. So the body is even more charged of connotation than the automobile, and his rediscovery after an age of Puritanism, under the sign of physical and sexual liberation, um, his omnipresence in advertising, fashion, mass culture, um, his the cult of hygiene, dietetics, the obsession with youth, elegance, virility, femininity. Um, anyway, the myth of pleasure. Every single aspect of these that I mentioned um, makes the body the object of salvation. It literally substitutes the soul in this moral and ideological function. So this is really interesting, I think. Anyway, I think he talks about this in the media, but this guy would probably die today if he would see how far this has gone. I mean, some a lot of people in this world live based on a tiny square group of pixels on a screen, which is, for instance, uh, a picture on Instagram. The body has become the product that allows, uh, it's the means, but also the product that allows consumerism um, to take effect. I'm not only talking about consumerism of objects, and we can talk about influencers that put, some objects in their life, trying to sell them. Um, I'm also talking about the body itself. We consume other people's bodies as we go into Instagram. In the case of gay life, this has become so prevalent that I would argue that a lot of things, a lot of dating, a lot of sexual encounters start on Instagram rather than in other applications that had this role probably 10 years ago. And according to a podcast that I heard on NPR, some Instagrammers can make as much as $250,000 by post. I mean, we're talking about uh, extreme, extremely followed Instagram people on Instagram. But at the same time, or people are living out of beautiful squared little collection of pixels of cupcakes. So to me, this all is kind of strange. And I think that only people who lived before this age, uh, when they were young, in their teens and their 20s, are able to fully understand how drastically things have changed. In my opinion, again, in a kind of dangerous direction. But that's not what's important. What I really want to focus is how this has changed drastically. I mean, before, most people didn't have a camera. They had having a good camera and being able to buy film and develop film was expensive. Today, pretty much everyone can take pictures and uh, post production, do some form of post production of these pictures and make them very very attractive pictures. Very very good pictures. In a sense, if I had been a professional photographer in the 20th century and I'd be living through this age right now, I would kind of be frustrated because let's talk about the iPhone, the cameras on the iPhone, this computational photography that this smartphone is able to do. I mean, it took a lot of technique to be done with optical and how can you say it, non-digital devices. Anyway, so my question is, how is it like to be young and to be born into this without having the reference of what it was before? Because if you're now in your teens, if you're now 18, and if you don't stop and think about these things, or nobody calls you out about these things, and nobody tells you to, put that in perspective, or what is it that you want out of your life, you can pretty much dive into a world that in which you realize really soon that you're worth your Instagram number of followers. And what is this society? What is this doing to these people, to young people today? I have no idea, but I think it's really scary. I mean, sometimes you open Grinder or other applications and you clearly see that guys as early as 18 years old, they have injected their lips with, oh, I don't know, is it Botox? You know, and we're talking about dysmorphia, people who are trying to pursue a physical shape similar to those that they can achieve with the filters on some of these applications. So this is very dangerous in my opinion, and in my opinion, it's also going to increase. It's going to go further and further because cosmetic procedures are probably going to become less intrusive. They're going to be easier to be done, probably less expensive. And we're also talking about drugs. I mean, um, you can pretty much change your perception with drugs. So this is where we had it, and we're these people are born into a society that going to the gym is fundamental. And I'm not saying that it's not nice. I go to the gym. I'm also uh, it's very good for my well-being, my mental well-being. But we don't ask ourselves, where's our mental gym? Why do we spend 1 hour every single day in the gym, but we don't spend 1 hour reading a good book or discussing important subjects of the world today, or reading, or um, I don't know, having a good conversation that goes beyond what did you do in your last vacation, etc. So this also makes me go into the topic of stupidification. I think that we're living a time that we are being stupidified uh, by these ideas of frivolous values. And technology is feeding us products that force us to go in deeper into this stupidification of our minds. I mean, every day when I go into a bus, I see people around me playing these games, these Candy Crush games, and I just, okay, everyone has the right, and everybody should do whatever they want with their lives on their spare time or when they're trying to commute. But to me, is just looking out of the window of a bus or observing people around you is much more important and interesting than playing these games. So we're living in a society that it's not inviting us to introspect. Uh, we're losing the capacity of eye contact. We're losing the capacity to communicate. And then let's get back to gay life in particular. This also applies to heterosexual life, but I'm going to talk about gay life in particular. Porn and sex. I mean, pornography is everywhere. And I believe that in these applications, filthier, harder, piggier, the better, because we have these standards that come from pornography and from our own sexual life that makes us go try to find the next big thing, the next more dirty thing. Uh, Again, it's not me to judge if it's right or wrong. I just think that it's some sort of a race, a rat race that we gotten ourselves into. I remember when I was younger and these sites started to appear, like it was at the time um, Gaydar, and then I used a lot Manhunt. And at the beginning, Manhunt in my little town, little city that I live, which is about 100 and something thousand inhabitants, there were not many pictures. And if there were pictures, there were pictures of something, landscape. And then people started putting, some part of their face or just a little part of their torso. And then some people finally got the courage to post their entire face, um, perhaps with sunglasses and then without sunglasses. And then this one person decided to go with underwear and then without underwear. And today, when you open this website, Manhunt, and I'm not sure if this applies to every country. Perhaps they have different policies in different countries, and I'm pretty sure that this only happens on the website and not in their application. You basically see pictures of dicks and asses. We got into this point that you define yourself by a dick or an ass, and it's true that in Grinder you can be a catch or a have been based on little things like that. So it's not even just the squared picture on Instagram. It's just, you know, anyway, it's like you're totally a product on a supermarket shelf and you have your 6 seconds of evaluation by the consumer. So, yeah, and the body is a sex object, it is an object of consumerism, pretty much as an iPhone. We're pretty much valued on these applications as a telephone or smartphone or I don't know, a pair of shoes or sneakers, whatever. And we're totally forgetting this mind gym. You know, I mean, philosophy today to everyday society is a dinosaur. It doesn't exist. I would also argue that music, movies, TV, and even art of our days is pretty much losing quality. Um, why don't we learn to enjoy um, classic music. And you're probably saying, well, he's saying that because he likes classic music. Well, I do. I do like classic music, but I, I, I got exposed to it at a certain point, and I was curious to know about it more. And I don't see this today in a lot of people. We're just listening to whatever we get fed by the media, and frankly, let's be honest, some of the music that we listen to today, any one of us pretty much can do it in their computer. I've done music in my computer, and I hardly know anything about music. And I'm pretty sure I can put some, probably not very good, I would agree, but you and I, we can put music out from a computer or an iPad or any other kind of device pretty fast, and it can be listenable. I mean, it's not the case with classic music. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of talent, a lot of work. So I value that. I think we should value that. Otherwise, we get into this, everything becomes so easy and so fast and so based on frivolous values. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much done with this conversation. And I've talked about a lot of things, and I probably should have not talked about this many things. So the main message today is that it's hard to be gay, not being particularly physically attractive in today's world. Being after a certain age, and I don't think 40 is the problem. I mean, to me personally, again, it's my opinion, and it's gonna be harder as time goes by. I don't feel lonely every time. Actually, I enjoy some level of solitude, but you do miss sharing. You do wonder what is sharing beautiful moments of your life, experiences, feelings with someone else on a very close level, not like just sharing on Facebook. That's one of the main messages. So it's not the fear of being gay, it's the fear of loneliness. And another big topic that I want to reinforce is, how is it like to live, to be born into this world today, this world of Instagram? I think that we could say that, uh, I don't know, after millennials, I think we're living the Instagram society generation. This is the Instagram generation. And I wonder what this is doing to people's brains. I really don't know. And finally, a call to thought. Are we going into this stupidification of society or an enlightenment of society? So these were the three topics that I think kind of um, structure what I've just discussed with you. Anyway, I hope this has some interest to anyone out there, and I'll be attentive to the comments. If you like it, share. Uh, I'm a social being myself. I'd like to know how far this could reach. Thank you, and